Hello and welcome to a slightly different video than usual. Today I wanted to try to do a tier list of all of the legacy dungeons, or at least what I understand under the term legacy dungeon. There might be too many here. I've divided them in, or I've divided them quite a lot. For example, Ainsa River and Noxtella, they could be the same thing. Same with Siofra River and Nokron, or however you pronounce Siofra, Shifra, whatever. Doesn't matter. And I think I'm missing one, but to that I'm coming later. I'm trying to evaluate them by their design, but it's definitely going to be only my opinion here, right? There's no objective thought going through my head right now when I'm talking about these things, but... And I'm kinda not that happy with my ranking criteria over here, or with my tiers. Specifically with the top two. Like, it's okay, it should be like the baseline, where it's a level that is okay, right? There's nothing major wrong with it, but it's also not that fun. Like, I mean, it's still fun, but it's not the best, right? But it's also not the worst. Then the lower ones are, I guess, self-explanatory. Need some love is like, yeah, it's a level, but there are some things that are annoying. And then rework, please, is like, no, no, just no, do something else. But what are the top two levels? I have no idea. It's like good, of course, above average, and awesome should be like the best. And I expect most of these things go into the middle tier, and then it thins out at the extremes over here, but let's see. Let's just start. I've tried to sort them by progression-ish, and then underground, I guess, is the best thing. Like, we start with Stormvale Castle. Let's just start. Stormvale Castle is the first proper legacy dungeon we go through, or we can go through. It's like the thing right in front of us when we start the game, so it should be the first legacy dungeon. I mean, of course, you could go Castle Morn first, but let's start with Stormvale Castle, right? And in my opinion, it does everything right. The enemies inside are fairly easy to decipher, right? It's just soldiers most of the time. There's nothing fancy going on, and you have multiple paths that you can go. This is, in my opinion, peak Elden Ring level design, just because you have so many choices at the beginning. Right at the start after Margit, you have the choice to go through the gate or alongside the outer wall. And then, I mean, whichever path you take, they lead you ultimately to Godric. But you have so much to explore, so you have so many options. And it's just, I would put this at the highest tier so far. I might switch them around later, but Stormvale Castle is the... I mean, I feel like it's the poster child. This is where they put partially the most amount of effort in to hook the player. That's what I would do, right? If I had to decide where to put the most effort in, I would put it into the beginning so that I could hook all the players, right? But then we have Castle Morn, and Castle Morn is something similar. It's like a smaller version. It's like a smaller version of a castle, right? Comparing this to Stormvale Castle. But oh boy, this area has some problems. I mean, the enemies are fine, but I have a big problem with the layout of the whole thing. I'm not really a fan of that, because it's very vertical at the second part. When you grab the grace that is in Castle Morn, not the one in front of it, but in Castle Morn, you can't go back. It's like the point of no return. From there you start descending, you're jumping down all the wall parts and things, and there it starts to fall apart for me. Gameplay wise, same thing. Like, I don't get the decision why you can't go back to Edgar from the side of grace. Why it has to be a point of no return, that makes no sense to me. I think there is even a second one, so even more question marks. Like, I think the first side of grace that you find inside the castle, not in front, the one that you find inside, where you have to drop down to. From there you should also be able to backtrack. There's no reason not to allow that. It just makes the game a bit longer, because you have to talk to Edgar, then you go down and beat the boss, and then you go back to Edgar again. And you have to do this from the start. And it's kind of annoying. I like that the enemies are fighting each other, like the Misbegotten and the soldiers. That's a cool thing. What I find strange though is like Edgar's the commander of the Godric soldiers, right? So why after talking to him they still attack me? Or, well, they're insane, like they lost their mind. Yeah, why aren't they attacking Edgar? Because he's hiding. Oh, shut up. So it's okay would be nice. I would like to put it at needs some love, because I think, like, enemy-wise, that's hard to decipher, right? The feel of the place, it's pretty cool. Like the lore and the lore story that's being told is pretty cool, but the gameplay is like, needs some love. So I think I have to decide where to put it now, right? I would like to put it at needs some love. I should probably go by gameplay purely. Right, this is a gameplay tier list now, because design-wise, like, voice crack over there. Design-wise, this would be also just okay. It needs some love. You have overruled me with that. If you're the same, you have the same opinion here. Next one, Rhea Lucaria, the Magic Academy. Let's put it here over here first, so I can talk about it. Where do we start? We can't access this thing without the key, so we need to grab the key first. Go through the magical barrier that blocks the gate, I guess. Then we're right up an elevator. I hate elevators. And what then? It's a pretty bad school, to be honest. Like, it's an interesting place. But first you go through a church of some sort, then you go through a graveyard. Why do we have a graveyard in your school? Whatever. Probably because of all the students falling off or dying in any other way. But man, this level is weird, because it's supposed to be a school, right? An academy, right? You're supposed to learn something there, and then you have this weird-ass linear path. Like, I like the theme, I like the second part, or the... ish. Do I? This is kind of weird. Because it's quite fun. But the design is so weird. Huh. I would put it as okay. It's outlandish enough so that I can look over the weird things. Because it's kind of fun. The rooftop part is kind of shit though. The optional rooftop part. Because if you want to have every single item, you need to do this twice, because you can't backtrack. You have to start from the beginning after the Wolf of Radagon. Boss-wise, it's also fun. Like, fighting the wolf is a bit hectic. Because that thing is so fast. but... Well, do I have to talk about bosses now as well? Stormwind Castle bosses are fine. Like, Godric is a pretty cool fight. Rhea Lucaria, the Wolf is hectic. Renala, first phase is a joke, so only the second phase counts. It's fun. Castle Morn is a regular enemy. But yeah, I think Rhea Lucaria is okay. Or is it good, even? Because you have so much variety. Let's put it at good for now. Maybe I'm putting it down later on. Carrier Mena. No. Maybe no. Yeah. Rework, please. Pretty easy. Shit area. Too many hands at the beginning. And the stupid puppet things. Like, it's not even well conveyed that these are puppets just because they're blue. You understand that very late into the game. Well, you first need a puppet, and then you have to do the Celibus questline to understand that these are puppets, I think. So no. Very bad area, don't like it. And the level itself, like the layout is boring too. Actually no, the layout is fine. I take that back, but the enemies are shit. Redmane Castle. Redmane Castle. Huh. Like the first time I went through Redmane Castle was when it was completely empty, spoiling the fun for me. Because the festival has already started. I don't like that mechanic. The castle is empty all of a sudden, and then when the thing is over or before it started, it's filled with enemies. But then during the festival, nothing happens. Feels strange. Feels very, very strange. But evaluating this by when it's full of enemies, of course, then it's fine. It's kind of okay. It's like not bad, not good. Regular soldier enemies. Not that many paths though, fairly linear. Same with all of the other ones. Like Stormwind Castle is... Like, Rhea Lucaria is very interesting and intriguing, and you want to explore it. That's the plus thing. Stormwind Castle is just outright fun. The first time. Yeah, I put it at the middle ground. So we got like Limgrave, Weeping Peninsula, which is part of Limgrave in my opinion, then Liurnia. And I'm missing a Liurnia thing here, right? I'm missing the legacy dungeon that connects Liurnia to the Altus Plateau. Like the thing with the magma worm inside. I would put it at okay as well. It's like a fairly linear experience. There are a bunch of bats. The singing bat is cool though. Like Vulgar Militia, then the mining part. It has a mining part, right? It's very vertical, which is cool. Which is a cool thing. I would put it at is okay. It's nothing special in my opinion. But sorry for missing the thumbnail because I haven't made a video about that yet. And I don't want to. Shaded Castle next. Shaded Castle is pretty interesting. Because I don't like it. I don't like it, but it's good. That's the strange thing. I would put it at good. Just because you can tackle it from different angles. It should be an open area, but they've designed it that way that it's leading you through the intended path, which is pretty cool. The enemies inside are kind of shitty though. At least the first part. I don't like poison swamps, but doesn't mean that it's bad. I don't have something to drink here. That's unfortunate. But yeah, Shaded Castle is a solid thing. Not the best, right? It's not the best, but do I even put it at Now Rhea Lucaria is still better than Shaded Castle. Level design wise, yeah, level design wise as well. There's just too much going on in Rhea Lucaria. Too many different things. Like the journey takes you through, right? First through the Cuckoo Church or whatever it's called, then the graveyard behind the church, and then the academy. You have the trap underneath, the weird-ass elevator that's very quirky and very dangerous for the students. Doesn't matter. Volcano Manor. I absolutely dislike this thing. I would wish to see a rework, but it's okay. Like, the problem that I have, if you stand in front of it, like you can see on this very, very tiny thumbnail, these thumbnails are all of the thumbnails from my videos, so I just re-downloaded them from YouTube, so but if you see this place from the outside, it looks like this very awesome looking building, villa or something, even chateau-esque thing. But the problem is you can't even explore that shitty thing. Like, you have one corridor with a few rooms left and right. Then you have the dining area on top, not even a kitchen, like the part where you're not fighting, right? The part with Tenneth and the other recusants is totally shit. Like, it looks like a shitty base. It should be much cooler. The thing behind that, on the other hand, like the volcano part, looks pretty awesome. But like the second half, where you, after the Godskin fat fuck, what's his name? Noble, right? After the Godskin Noble, it's like, that it loses me again. Even though, now maybe I should bump it up to good. I'm just so disappointed by the first part, by the recusant area, but it's actually a pretty good area. Like the path behind that, it's actually pretty good. Elden. How many paths do we have in Elden? The entrance is very weird. Through a wall, into a chapel, into a normal common building. Why are these things all connected? Into the streets. There's a lot to do here, so I would... It's very open, that's the cool thing. I didn't enjoy it as much as something like Raya Lucaria, but I must say it's like the level design is pretty awesome. Actually, that's not true. I actually enjoyed this the first time. I'm just thinking about my subsequent playthroughs, where it's getting tedious, which is the reason why I burned out on this game so fast. Or part of the reason. It's actually a pretty good area. And you have variety, right? Enemy variety. Maybe not that much. You have soldiers and the servants, like the mages, and not that much variety. But we haven't had that in Stormwind Castle. But it's a very open area. You have multiple ways where you can go, which is pretty cool. I like to see that. Subterranean shunning grounds. And I'm counting the part after Moog as well. So I don't know what it's called. The thing where you hear the music from the merchants and you have to drop down. All of that stuff. That's part of it too. Not the normal dungeon that is hidden inside this thing, that doesn't count, but yeah, subterranean shunning grounds. It's a pretty shitty area, but it's a well-designed shitty area. Get the pun, because it's literally the sewer system. And the story behind it is sad and cool, but it's linear. Is it? Oh, it's a navigation nightmare my first time around, because of all the paths that you have. I mean, it's not even that many paths, but it's easy to get lost in there. But I like these puzzles, but I would just put it at okay. It's an okay-ish thing. Even though it's quite cool. But no, let's leave it at okay. Wait, I leave it at okay. It's like, it's decent. It's a normal Dark Souls level. I would call it a normal-ish Dark Souls level, which is fine, like a filler. Now we're at Castle Soul. Is that correct? Yeah, it doesn't matter which order. We are now in the snow area, right? Because I wanted to do the underground later, but subterranean shunning ground is part of the underground. Could be part of the underground. It could definitely connect to the underground. It doesn't matter. Let's go with Castle Soul. It's a bit chaotic, the order. It's like... Like the two idiots at the beginning, like the two line things is something. Then the weirdest ghosts, which is kind of cool. And the boss is also kind of cool if you know how to deal with him. I think it needs some love. Like, the layout is fine. It shouldn't receive a full rework. Because it's a... I don't even know if I should put this as a legacy dungeon. But it's big enough. It's not a normal castle thingy, right? It has a boss. But I think it needs some love. It's not completely bullshit. But it's kind of bland. So it needs something. Just a tiny bit. What I find funny, like, the ballistas are complete bullshit that you have in there. But the cool thing is the nothing personnel kit, ghost of the, what are they called? What are the knights called? I forgot their name. Banished Knight, right? These are Banished Knight ghosts. I can teleport around. The one with the dual great swords. Like, these are technically great swords. They're using them as regular long swords or something. But no, the dual great sword. For the player, it's a great sword. This is pretty cool. It doesn't matter where you shoot them from or how you attack them, they will always teleport behind you. Which is pretty cool. But yeah, Crumbling Farm Azula. I would put it at the highest tier possible. Like, it's not the best area, but the theme fits. The bosses are amazing. Wait, if I... Do I count the bosses? Because yes, if lane... Or even this way? Is it the best area in my opinion, or... Holy shit, that is difficult. I might need to come back to this later on, because... Like, the area is amazing. Like, I really like the visuals. The visuals are amazing. It's... Even though it's pretty grey. Brownish grey, the color scheme. But, it's just a pretty awesome area. Even though it's fairly linear. You have small branch-offs, the thing with the worm faces. The area with the worm faces, and then the thing where you fight Alexander, like this area. It's quite the... It's a linear experience with branches looping back around and stuff, right? But there are no multiple paths that you can take similar to Lanedale and Stormwell Castle. But it's so good! And the bosses... Is it better than Stormwell? That sounds like blasphemy, but maybe... Is Lanedale better than Stormwell Castle? I might do it like this for now. I might do it like that. Maybe I put Volcan. No. Let's go with Mikela's Harlech tree. Oops. Only the Harlech tree part. Elfile is later on, right? We have Elfile as a separate part. This only goes from the beginning, like where you're on the branches, and you go down to where you fight Loretta or whatever her name is, right? I really don't like this part. The city looks like shit. Because, like, the way these things are connected is shit. You don't even see that it's not fully finished yet. It's supposed to be, like, in development, right? We came there in development. Well, they still build this stuff, but it's not very well conveyed. The way these buildings are chained together gives me, like... What is this level design? Like, it's terrible in my opinion. Not even the enemies are fine, and the lore behind it is fine, but the city part, like even the roots are, like, not the roots, the branches. The branch part I would put at okay. It's quite difficult, but the city part, where you're going through the buildings and stuff, this is just rework, please, for me. I really dislike this thing, like, because it makes no sense the way these things are connected. You're supposed to live there. It's not conveying that at all. Like, the city part is missing, but it's not finished yet. It's not finished yet. I don't see things in the background that are unfinished, right? There's no build in progress going on, visually at least. I really would like to... Now I wanna... No, I can't duplicate things, right? Like, if I could duplicate this thing, I would put the branch part up here, and then the city part down here. But I leave it down here because it's one level. The second half is shit. Elfire, on the other hand. I really like Elfire. Like, the visuals are awesome. The level is good, I would say. And the gameplay is okay. Because at the second half this loses me. Once you're getting... Like, you see the beginning on this very tiny thumbnail if you look very, very close. Right? The beginning part where you go alongside these things. Right? It's pretty cool. Once you're in the main building where the tree spirit is in front of, like from here to the tree spirit part, set of grace, it's pretty good. It's like good, but then it loses me a bit. So I would put it almost at is okay, because that's fairly long. Actually, is it good or is it okay? Let's put it at good for now. Maybe I have to sort things around because it's not forming a curve. Siofra River. This thing calls me mediocrity, I think. It's a pretty interesting area, visually, lore-wise, it's pretty cool. The thing that it's an underground cave is pretty awesome. Like, the idea of this place, is awesome, but the gameplay and the level design and all, that's okay. It's nothing wrong with it, but it's nothing special, right? Then we have Nokron, which is like the upper part, and it's something in between. I think this is still bearable. Like the Nokron part, like not the nature part, but the city part with the giant skeleton thing doesn't feel like a city again. Similar to the Harlech tree city part. Just a city part. The branches are okay, but the city part, like, is shit. It needs a rework. Doesn't mean that it's that it's a bad area. Just the level design itself, the thing you're walking on is shit. The enemies are fun. Even the enemies are nothing special. But Nokron is like... is okay. Right, the city part is kinda boring. I really like the aqueduct part. The boss is kinda shit though. Like the dual thingies, but it's a good filler area. Einzel River. The river part. I would put it at okay as well. There are a bunch of ants. And that's it, right? But the boss is pretty sick. I really like the boss, I really like the visuals. Like, visual-wise, again, would be awesome, but I'm not going after visuals. I should do this do a visual tier list as well. With exactly the same things. But yeah, Einzel River, I would put it as okay as well. I think I'm sorting them at the end as well. Because with the sorting in the tiers, I'm kind of torn. Noxtella on the other hand, I think it needs some love because it's kind of like the water park. Yeah, the water park. The water part, like the beginning, is very similar to the Einzel River, which is fine. But the city itself should get a rework, and then the water part is pretty okay-ish. And overall, it needs some love, I think. Because the city, it's called Eternal City. It's not a city. It's like a praying grounds, some weird praying grounds or whatever. Right? It's not a city. There's no city. Right? A city for me is something where you live inside, right? You don't see anything like that. Oh, but there are a bunch of closed doors. Not that many. It's not a city. It's like Skyrim level city with like 2 houses. Which is kind of bad. Lake of Rot plus the cloister behind that. And it's part of Noxtella, right? This comes after Noxtella. I think there could be more content inside this thing, especially behind in the building thing, like the cloister or whatever it is. The cloister's kind of disappointing because it's just one short part, like very short thing. There could be more, like the cloister part. I'm getting Dark Souls 2 first DLC vibes, like Shulva vibes when you're inside the pyramid thingy in Shulva, but not as detailed, which is kind of like, I really like the idea of having this swamp thing, even though I don't like status effect. Like I'm not a fan of poison swamps, right? But the way you can give yourself things where you can move on is pretty fun, like with raising the platforms. Then the Dragonkin soldier in the middle is pretty cool. But this area could be so much more detailed, so much more smaller, fun things. Especially the cloister again. Maybe 1 or 2 more enemy types, maybe a different type of the pest enemies. Are they called pests? I think so, right? Then let's go over to the deep root depths. Deep root depths. Where do I put this thing? You can reach this by going through Nokron, like the aqueduct part or whatever you want to call it, with the 2 gargoyles. Then you're getting at the start, at the river start, and then you have another path where you can go through. You go through the subterranean shunning grounds after Moog, go down to the, is it called the Frenzied Flame Prescription or something? I don't know what word that is. I don't even know what that means. But there is a hidden path where you can get a bit of extra area before you land before you land at the starting point from Nocron. The first half is kind of shit. Once you're in the nameless eternal city, I would call it. But then we have two to three bosses there, right? Maybe almost 4 bosses. No. One boss is the Crucible Knight. Right? The Crucible Knight with the spear version of the Crucible Knight, which is fun. Crucible Knights, I really like fighting them. We have the fight against Fear Summons, which is technically a fight, right? It has a boss and multiple boss bars. And then we have the dragon fight, which is awesome as well. Maybe not as awesome. Fighting dragons is always... Fighting big things is always a thing. You can't see what they're doing half the time. But the fight is pretty epic. Like the dream fight or whatever it is. And the fourth boss fight are the bears. Like the rune bears that you have. I don't like rune bears. Nah. But I think the area is okay-ish. There are definitely things that you can improve, but there are definitely also some things that are pretty good. Like the start, I think they went overboard with the ants at the beginning. Like there are a lot of areas where there are too many enemies, in my opinion, like at the beginning with the ants or wasps or whatever they are. Then the cave with all the ants. Like it's just one enemy type, it's getting kind of tiresome. Then later on we have a bunch of basilisks, which is pretty cruel. While the area literally looks like decaying shit, because it's literally decaying shit, it quite fits the area, right? It looks pretty awesome in that case. But I'm not going per look, right? But overall, it's a decent area. It's a mediocre area, I would say. And now Mogwin's Palace. Plus the Mausoleum. Huh. Why is it saying? Oh, I'm out of list, right? Mogwin's Palace. Yeah. The start is kinda like they went overboard with the Albion Oryx. Then they went overboard with the big Albion Oryx summoning the weirdest giant skeletons. Then they went overboard with all the blood zombies. But it's overall fairly enjoyable-ish, but I think it needs some love. I think you could squeeze out more. Like the mausoleum part is kind of boring. Or the thing after the lake part where you go inside, where you no longer can ride on torrent. The birds are kind of scary, but you can cheese 2 of them. One of them you can let run off the cliff, the other one you can somehow let them fly into nothingness. Like do you remember that bird? When you're in the lake part where Varia or whoever he is invades you 3 times. There's one bird sitting on one of these trees, I think. When you shoot them, they like spiral, have like the spiring flight, but for some reason they land out of bounds and fall down, like into the abyss, fall out of the map. And this is a peak farming area, right? This is where you can farm your runes. But I think it needs some love overall. So now let's go through every single tier and see how I would sort them in their tiers. Let's start with is okay. What is the best is okay area here? This is kind of hard. Nocron is kind of fun. I must say. Deep Root Depths, though, are good too. Einstein River is kinda linear. I really like the aesthetics, though. I have to keep that in mind, because aesthetics don't play a role in this thing, I think. Right, then it should be everything, almost everything should be an awesome, except like Castle Sol or something, Castle Morn. That wouldn't be fair. This is fucking hard. Holy shit. Subterranean shunning grounds. Where do I put these? Like, they're in the middle of the road. Redmane Castle's kind of underwhelming, I feel like. But it's solid, right? It's a solid thing. Maybe Einster River is worse because it's just one path. Siofra River is kind of cool. Nokron is kind of like more Siofra River, but also a bit more diversity, I feel like. They both have the same boss, just this one is more on crack. Yeah, I think that's the is okay order. Might be wrong though. Let's go over to good. Like, the best thing is always on the left, and then the worst thing of the tier is always on the right, I feel like. That's the fair point. I would put Elfire here, then... Shaded Castle, I think, is 3rd place. Or 4th place? Holy shit, which is better, Volcano Manor? Or Raya Lucaria? I feel like this is the order. I mean, Shaded Castle gets kind of shafted because it's like a smaller area, it's like a side area. Where Volcano Manor, Raya Lucaria, and Elfire feel like main areas. Right? They feel like prime level areas. Where it's like down here and is okay would be Redmane Castle would only be a prime level area. Maybe also Nokron, but not really. I feel like you can ignore the whole underground thingy. Maybe it's just different because it's like a different underground area, I don't know. Let's... yeah, the good part is good too, I feel like. I'm pretty happy with this sorting. I'm doing awesome last. Let's go over to Need Some Love. What is the best out of all of them? That's pretty easy. What's the bad thing? The worst thing is Castle Sol, then Castle Morn. Which is the best one out of them? I feel like this has too little content to be on the better ones of Need Some Love. Which is better? I think Mogwin's Palace is better than Noxtella. This Noxtella's like... oof. Or maybe I put Noxtella over here. Because I just remembered. It's pretty oof. It's like... holy shit. I almost want to rework. But this would mean that it's... It's almost like a thing where... it's almost like similar to Mikula's Harlech tree. Where... like... where rework please doesn't necessarily mean that it's the worst area. Like Carrier Manor, yes, it's for me the worst area. But Mikula's Harlech tree is not the worst area. Maybe I should put it... maybe I should do it like this. But I want a rework of this thing, but it's not bad. Maybe it needs some love. Maybe, yeah, this is fair. No, this is fairer. Because Castle Sol is kinda underwhelming. But I want a rework of Mikula's Harlech tree, because this could be... nah, I leave it like this now. Order though. If it's now Needs Some Love, it's definitely a better area than Castle Morn. And it's better than Noxtella. And it's better than Lake of Rot. It's very hard to do one of these tier lists. And this is hard, right? Because I'm again at Mikola's Harlech tree, because the thing with Mikola's Harlech tree is like, it's the structure of the city is so shitty, and that rhymed. Great. Now I leave it like this. This is fair, I think. It's not an okay area because it has too many problems. But it's a better area than Castle Sol and Carrier, man. That would be unfair, right? Castle Morn is kinda... Maybe Noxtella's kinda shitty. Because of all the Mimic tiers, Silver tiers, sorry. It's like not fun to go through at all. But these are even less fun, I feel like. But yeah, now let's go over to Awesome. Oh, this is difficult. Sorry for the sound there. So, which is the best? The best of the best. Is it Stormwell Castle? Probably not. It's too vanilla. It's a pretty well entry, right? But it's nothing so special. Farum Azula is definitely better than Stormwell Castle, and Lanedale as well. Or is it? Which is better, Lanedale? Do I count all the bosses? Which are the bosses of Lanedale? Because, like, let's be real. I'm taking all of the variants of Lanedale, right? All two. Because Lanedale Ashen City or whatever it's called is like... It's not a full level. Sorry, but no, it's not a full level. It's just a different version of Lanedale, right? So I kind of want to put these together, but then this area has like... How many bosses do we have now? We have like, what's his name? Godfrey. We have Godfrey twice. Like the golden version, like the image of him, like the golden version that we fight first. Then we have Morgott, right? That's his name. Then we have Morgott. After that we have what's his name? Gideon Ofnir. Then again the Elden Lord dude. And these names, holy shit. Godfrey? Godfrey? Was it Godfrey? Godfrey first Elden Lord, yeah, I think so. No, Godric is the crippled one of Stormwell Castle. Godfrey. Godwin is dead. It's Godfrey, okay, finally. The real version, then Horalu, technically, I mean, they're the same. And then we have Radagon, and then we have Elden Beast, so technically... Like, if I put both together, this is probably the best designed area. But I like Farum Azula more. And it's the highlight. Farum Azula for me is always the highlight of my playthrough. Yeah, this is the order. Of all of these things, I'm probably not that happy with some of them. Because I feel like some of them should be... I think that's fair. This needs some love, this needs some love, needs some love. Needs some minor reworks, right? This is like minor reworks and maybe adding more content to them. Where this is just do it again. Just do it again. Just better. Do it again. But yeah, this is my... What's it called? This is my tier list, or sorting these levels by my enjoyability, I guess. these dungeons, and keep in mind there's one more that is okay somewhere in here, which is the connection area between Liurnia and Lane not Lane Liurnia and the Altus Plateau. Is there something missing though? Am I missing some other areas? Write it down into the comments. Let me know what you would change. Maybe you can... Nah, don't. I don't know. Let me know if this is something that you would do similarly, or if there are completely different things. What is your favorite area out of all of these? Do you like Carrier Manor, for example? Because I don't. And yeah, I will definitely, once the DLC is out, right? Once the DLC is out, and we all get to play it, a lot of times I revisit this tier list and add the DLC areas to this place. I just assume there are legacy dungeons in there as well. Or maybe it's just one big Dark Souls area, then I'm getting it divided into bits and pieces. We can probably improve on that, or add to this as well. I could also do let's do a tier list of every single dungeon area. No, thank you. But I think I could do a tier list of all the areas, like Limgrave, maybe Weeping Peninsula as their own, or maybe part of Limgrave, Caelid. That would be kind of boring. Nah, I think this is fine. I will definitely add the other areas from the DLC to this once we get to play them. We all get to play them. And I'm running out of content again. But yeah, this is my tier list, and I see you in the next video. Goodbye.